What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, MLB DFS video. It is Saturday. It is May 18th. We have a full slate. We have some weather concerns. If you've never been here before, hopefully you're in for a treat. We have giveaways every single day. There are two ways to win. First way, like this video and be a subscriber. If this video gets at least 50 likes and you've left a comment on the video, you have a chance to win a free week of FTA+. 100 likes is a free month. 150 likes is a $200 free year, and if this video or any video ever gets 200 or more likes, you have a chance to win a lifetime pass. Now, second way to win. There'll be a keyword somewhere in this video. Type that keyword and leave that as a comment, and you will get a chance to win another pass. So you'll have a chance to win a weekly pass. Now, what's funny about this is I already filmed this video this morning. I filmed it. It was an over 30-minute long video, and the sound was corrupted. It was like the sound was weird. So this, I'm gonna change it up. I don't have a ton of time today. I already spent 30 minutes on the video, but I wanted to give you guys a video because we didn't get one last week because we were in the hospital. So I'm gonna a little bit different today. Obviously, this is not the video that I just posted. We already picked the winners, and I had that video as the winner. So I'm going to play that clip so you guys don't think I'm cheating or anything. I'm not cheating anyway. I'm going to play that clip, and then we'll get on with picking everything else. So that being said, let's check it out right now. Okay, this is the video earlier. I don't know, you might be able to hear the sound. At some points, the sound sounds good. Some points, it goes like that, and it's annoying. So we're going to see who the winner of the video from yesterday, from just leaving a comment, and then it'll show who the winner is of using the keyword water from yesterday's video as well. So let's get into it. You can see his comment was water, so he has a chance we're going to run again. So once you see this, hit the like button, comment that you saw it, and then email me, dfshelp1@gmail.com. It's dfshelp1@gmail.com with a username and email you'd like. On 16 ohms is the winner. And the second winner, this is everyone that put the word water from yesterday. We're going to randomize it one time, and that person will be the winner. We've never had the same person. So the winner is 16 OMES for using a comment yesterday. Same thing, a username and email. So that's the winner of the free week. Now, the next portion will be the winner of who put in the keyword water. This so happens to be the winner there. So let's check that out. You would like on the website and come back tomorrow. So it's that we like to stack against. So it's going to be a little bit different. I want to try something new. It brings out a little bit. And if you guys like, you can tell right now that like it this way, the sound was so weird. I don't know why it does that. It's a new computer. So the winner yesterday for putting the word water is House0252. So if both of you guys see this, like the video, email us, dfshelp1@gmail.com with a username and email you would like on the website, and we will get you set up for your free weeks of FTA+. Now, that obviously was not what I anticipated. I don't know why. Hopefully the sound on this one is good, but we're going to do something a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is we're going to look at the slates, and we're just going to glance over the slates, and we're going to talk about those real quick. So that's kind of what we're going to do because I don't have a ton of time. And then at the end of the video, as you know, we have 10,000 simulations running, and I'm going to give you the top 20 bats after 10,000 simulations. And then I'm going to give you some sports bets on top of it, just because I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling. I'm upset that I spent 30 minutes on a video, but we're bringing you, hopefully this file is not corrupted. So we do have an early slate. It's a 6-game early slate. We got the White Sox, Yankees, Pirates, Cubs, Rays, Blue Jays. We do have some weather concern here for the Mariners and Orioles, Colorado, San Francisco, and then the Mets at the Marlins for the early slate. So looking at this right off the bat, I am looking at the Yankees, and I'm looking at Luis Gil for pitching. Yankees bats, obviously a stack of Judge, Stanton. Both of them have been absolutely on fire right now. I would look at Rizzo. I would look at Volpe. Those are the 4 ones that I'd look at. Gleyber Torres is another one I would look at. Juan Soto is another one. He has actually cooled off a little bit, but I got to get him in there as well. I don't want anything to do with the White Sox. I don't want anything to do with Brad Keller. I want Luis Gil. I had a dream about Luis Gil coming in yesterday's game and relieving instead of pitching today, so that means he's absolutely going to shove. Luis Gil's going for a complete game, perfect game here. He's not, but I'm going Luis Gil. I'm going the Yankees stack. I don't want Brad Keller. I don't want any of the White Sox. Pittsburgh, Chicago, I want to stack the Cubs against Bailey Falter. I want to take Shota Amanaga. You guys know I love Amanaga. He is expensive, but I would use him. So I'm looking at Amanaga, and I'm looking at a Cubs stack. Some sort of Cubs stack centered around Chris Morel, Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, just depending on who's out there for the Cubs. You could look at Patrick Wisdom. Nick Madrigal will be a cheap option. That's where I'm going with in this game. I don't want the Cubs, or I don't want the Pirates bats, and I really don't want Bailey Falter in this one. Then we get to the next one, Tampa Bay versus Toronto. You've got Kevin Gausman, who's overall should be better. A little bit lower. You can see he's averaging only 11.3 fantasy points per game. Then we got Zach Eflin. Honestly, I'm probably not going to have exposure to these pitchers. I don't trust either of them. I'd rather look at the bats, just depending on the bats for either team. Looking at these, the Tampa Bay bats, I would look at Yandy Diaz, Josh Lowe, Palacios, Jose Siri, Ahmed Rosario, Isaac Paredes. These are the ones I'd look at. Toronto bats, Vlad, Davis Schneider, a little reluctant on Bo Bichette, but he's been hitting a little bit better. Dalton Varsho I'd look at. I would look at George Springer. You want to reach, you could go down to Dan Vogelbach or Ernie Clement a little bit as well. Seattle versus Baltimore scares me a little bit just because the weather is a concern. And I don't know, we'll have to wait to see, but I don't know how the weather is going to affect soon. I don't know if it's going to come into like the second inning and then we get screwed over with pitching. I don't know if it's going to be, seventh inning, which we should be okay with. That's what scares me. So it is Dean Kramer versus, or it looks to be Dean Kramer versus Luis Castillo. I love Luis Castillo here. The weather scares me a little bit. If you're not going with either of these pitchers, I'd go Cal Raleigh, J-Rod, Josh Rojas. You could go Mitch Haniger as well. Baltimore bats, Gunnar Henderson, Jordan Westberg, Ryan O'Hearn, Ryan Mountcastle, Adley. These guys make sense for me. So I'm still leaning Luis Castillo a little bit, but we obviously know Baltimore is a really good hitting team, so those are the bats I'd look at. You could go down to Anthony Santander. You could go down to Cedric Mullins, Jorge Mateo, but obviously these guys have been hitting the crap out of the ball all season. You kind of want to go with the hot hand, and those are the ones that I would look at there. We've got the next game, Colorado at San Francisco. According to this, for whatever reason, it's got Kyle Harrison, but it's actually Jordan Hicks. It's Ty Block versus Jordan Hicks. I want nothing to do with Ty Block. I want Jordan Hicks, and I will take some of the San Francisco bats. Jorge Soler made his he hit yesterday off the IL. I would look at Soler. I would look at Chapman. I would look at Lamont Wade Jr. You could go down a little bit to Tyro Estrada or William Flores, or it just depends. But I want nothing to do with Colorado. I'm focused on San Francisco. I'm focused on Jordan Hicks on this slate. Then we got the Mets at the Marlins. The bats don't jump out to me. Maybe after simulations they will, but I'm looking at Sevy for cash. I'm looking at Braxton Garrett for tournaments. Now Garrett's only pitched once. His ERA is up there, but he had 8 strikeouts in that game. We just saw Jesus Luzardo manhandle the Mets on Friday. I think that could happen again. This also could be a low-scoring game. So I think Sevy is more of your cash option. I think Braxton Garrett is more of your tournament option in this early slate. So that's the breakdown of the 6-game early slate. Then there's a 2-game turbo slate. We have problem with weather here. Washington, Philly has some weather issues. Bailey Ober, Mackenzie Gore, Christopher Sanchez, and Logan Allen. Sanchez, we used him his last start, didn't do well. He also lost the game last time against Washington, who've been hitting pitchers they shouldn't and beating teams they shouldn't and losing It's just crazy. Mackenzie Gore actually got the dub against Philly last time. I do not trust them. The weather scares me here. And then there's Bailey Ober against Cleveland. 2-game slate here, any pitcher goes. I think in order it would go Sanchez, Ober, Gore, and Logan Allen for me, but we got to look at the bats. So the obvious bats that make sense: Brandon Marsh, Alec Boehm against a lefty, Real Muto against a lefty, Bryce Harper, Castellanos normally, he's looking a little bit ish. Kyle Schwarber makes sense. You want to pay down a little bit, Whit Merrifield could be one, Edmundo Sosa could be another one. Washington bats, if you think Chris Sanchez is not going to have a good game: Luis Garcia Jr., CJ Abrams, Jesse Winker, Joey Meneses, Keibert Ruiz against the lefty. Those would be the ones that I would look at in this game. Then the Twins at the Guardians. Twins bats, I would look at against Logan Allen be Carlos Santana, Christian Vasquez, Edward Julian, Carlos Correa, Manny Margot against the lefty, I don't mind. Ryan Jeffers against the lefty, I also don't mind that either. Maybe a little bit of Trevor Larnach, but I doubt it. And then Cleveland bats, Josh Naylor, Bo Naylor, Jose Ramirez. I would look at Estevan Florial. I would look at David Fry for a cheap option. You got to get creative in a 2-game slate. Then we've got a 7-game main slate. We've got Ross Stripling versus Lugo. I want nothing to do with Stripling. I want a royal stack, and I want Lugo here. I would take Lugo in the Pitchers Park, so I'm going Lugo and then just an all-out Kansas City stack. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia, Nelson Velasquez. It doesn't matter. I don't want anything to do with Ross Stripling. I am all in on Lugo and the Royals. This one's a little bit different. We've got Verlander, who just dominated his start against his former team, the Tigers. Now he has a matchup here against the Brewers. Verlander for tournaments I'm okay with. I don't want Bryce Wilson. I think I'd rather focus on bats here. So obviously bats for Brewers would be Yelich, would be Willy Adames, Rhys Hoskins, Gary Sanchez, William Contreras. Flip side, the Houston bats, Yordan Alvarez, I don't know what he's doing. They sat him the other day. He's looked off all year. I would look at Kyle Tucker. I would look at Jose Altuve. I would look at Jeremy Pena. Yainer Diaz would be another one. So I doubt I have either of these pitchers. To be completely honest, I probably won't have either of these pitchers. Moving to the next game, Red Sox Cardinals, Cutter Crawford versus Miles Mikolas. Crawford's given up some earned runs, I think, in like 5 or 6 straight games now. His ERA has gone above. It's above 2 now. It was sub 1. I'll have a little bit of exposure to him, but I think I'd rather stick with the bats in this game. Both sides. I won't have any Miles Mikolas at all. I would just have the bats here. And again, when I say no exposure, that's me. You guys can do that. Obviously, it's your money. But you got to get creative a little bit too. So Devers, O'Neill, Jarren Duran, and Wilyer Abreu would be the top pitcher or the top bats for Boston. You could sprinkle in a little bit of Rafaela. You could sprinkle in Vaughn Grissom, would be a cheap option. And then the Cardinals bats against Cutter Crawford, Newt Barr, Alec Burleson, Goldschmidt, Brendan Donovan are the top ones. You could look at a little bit of Mason Wynn or Michael Ciani. A little bit, maybe Dylan Carlson. And I guess Nolan Arenado. He just has not looked himself this year. I don't know what's going on. I don't think he's hurt. He just hasn't looked himself for the majority of the year. So, again, Crawford for tournaments, but I'd rather focus on bats. Then we look at this game. Patrick Sandoval versus Urania. I'm not looking at Urania. Sandoval for tournaments because he's handled them in his past. He has not faced them this year. I'm okay with him in tournaments. I think in this game, I'd rather just focus on the bats, both sides. Angels bats, I think, could be a sneaky stack. I would look at Logan O'Hoppe. I would look at Taylor Ward. I would look at Joe Adell for my top ones. Then cheaper option would be Cole Tucker and Willie Calhoun if you want a sneaky stack there. And then Texas bats, while Sandoval has had success against them, generally they hit lefties better. Adolis Garcia, Jonah Heim, who had a big home run yesterday, Marcus Semien, If Heim is out, Andrew Kisner is a great option at catcher against a lefty. Robbie Grossman could be a cheap outfield option if he starts for Texas. He usually starts against lefties. That is true. So those would be the ones I'd look at. I don't want anything to do with Urania. I would look at Sandoval a little bit, and that's just a little bit. But I'd rather have the bats in this game. Padres versus Braves. Yu Darvish, Bryce Elder. Darvish just held down the Dodgers, which are a better hitting team than the Braves, which is I completely understand. Darvish in his career, 100 plate appearances, 167. Bryce Elder, 26 plate appearances, 174. I think if you were to take these, Darvish would be your cash option. Elder would be your tournament, but I think I'd rather focus on the bats. For San Diego would be Machado, Tatis, Profar, Merrill. Those are the top ones. Luis Ariz is another one. Cronenworth would be one, too. If you think Yu Darvish is not going to have a good game and you think it's going to be a Braves bat that hit well, Matt Olson, Michael Harris, Acuna. Cheaper options would be Jared Kelenic or Ozzie Albies. You could look a little bit of Zach Short if you're trying to get a Braves stack, but you're trying to differentiate that stack a little bit. I do love Yu Darvish today, though. That's one I do like. Tigers at the Diamondbacks. Before we get there, the keyword of the day is the iPhone. Just put the keyword is iPhone. I looked at my phone, and that's what it is. Keyword is iPhone. Put that down there. Flaherty versus Gallen. Honestly, at the beginning of the season, if you asked me to pick between these two, I would have gone Gallen. I think Gallen is too expensive for my taste. He's $9,400 on DraftKings. I do not trust that. I would look at Flaherty. He's had double-digit strikeouts in other games. I would look at him here. 107 plate appearances, 266. I'm looking at Flaherty. I'm not really looking at the bats in this one. I'm probably focused away from the bats, to be completely honest with you. I'm looking at Flaherty for sure. But if you need some bats, if you want exposure to bats in this game, Riley Green, so Detroit bats, Riley Green, Vierling, Winslow Perez, Spencer Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter. Cheaper option could be Colt Keith or Zach McKinstry. Diamondback bats, if you think Flaherty's not going to have a good game, Marte, Peterson, Christian Walker, Blaze Alexander are ones. Corbin Carroll's not looked good this year. That's basically it. Pavin Smith, maybe a little bit. But again, I'm 100% focused on Flaherty and not Gallen. And then we get Graham Ashcraft versus Walker Buehler. Buehler has not looked good his two starts. Ashcraft has had success against this team. I'm probably not using either of these pitchers. I'm looking at bats, both sides. I'm probably avoiding pitching in this one and just strictly going bats in this game. The bats on the Reds, obviously Ellie De La Cruz has to be in there. Will Benson, Spencer Steer, Tyler Stevenson are the big ones. You want to pay down. I think a sneaky option could be Mike Ford against Walker Buehler in this lineup. Jamer Candelario could be a cheap option. Stuart Fairchild is another one. And then the Dodgers bats, obviously, we were all over, and one of our top sports bet yesterday was Ohtani over 1.5 bases, and he hit a home run and hit it immediately. The bats I would look at, obviously Ohtani, Mookie Betts are the top two. Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. Then you got to get creative. Either Teoscar Hernandez. You could go Andy Pajes if he's in there. Gavin Lux a little bit I'm okay with, but not loving. So again, I'm probably not on these pitching. I'm on the bats in this game. And there you have it. There's the breakdown. Sorry, it's quicker than normal. But again, this will be almost an hour worth of filming, and 30 minutes of it was wasted. So hopefully this works. But the top 20 bats after 10,000 simulations. Get a paper and pen. Here we go. Bobby Witt Jr., number 1. Number 2 is Lindor. Number 3 is Harper. 4 and 5 are Tatis and Cronenworth. 6 is Aaron Judge. 7 is Willie Adames. 8 is Ellie De La Cruz. 9 is Patrick Wisdom. 10 is Josh Lowe. 11, Kyle Schwarber. 12, Juan Soto. 13 and 14, Jose Altuve and Kyle Tucker. 15, Ohtani, which I don't agree with him being down that far. 16, Ryan Jeffers. 17, Pasquantino. 18, Luis Arraez. 19, Ozzie Albies. And number 20 right now, Spencer Steer. So those are your top 20 stacks that I like today. Love me a Kansas City stack against Stripling. Love me a Yankee stack against Keller. Love me a Cincinnati stack against Buehler. And a sneaky stack I think today could be Milwaukee against Justin Verlander. So those are your top 20. Those are the pitching options on the slate. Those are the batting options on the slate. Now let's look at some of these sports bets that make sense. So people that are, everyone loves your jumping out and hitting home run bets and parlays and making millions. Not going to happen. Bets that are good with season hit rates or hit rates today that make sense. Marcell Ozuna, last 10, he's gotten a hit in his last 10 games, 100% of the time. Season hit rate is 79%, and his hit rate against his current opponent, 71%. Ketel Marte, his last 10, he's gotten a hit in every single game, 77% season hit rate, 57% hit rate versus his opponent today. Next one is Ezequiel Tovar, 100% hit rate in his last 10 games, 72% hit rate on the year, and 71% hit rate versus the opponent. Number 4 is Anthony Volpe, 100% hit rate his last 10 games, 69% hit rate on the season, 43% hit rate against his opponent against the White Sox. Adley Rutschman, 90% hit rate his last 10 games, 83% hit rate on the year, which is high, 33% against his opponent. William Contreras, 90% hit rate on his last 10 games, 82% hit rate on the season, and 25% hit rate against the Astros. Tommy Pham, 90% hit rate on the year, 90% in his last 10 games, 79% on the year, 58% against his opponent. And finally, JT Realmuto, 90% hit rate his last 10 games, 78% hit rate on the season, and 71% hit rate on the year. A couple ones that do stick out to me. Stanton has been on fire, 90% in his last 10 games, 72% on the year, 54% hit rate against his opponent. And then the big one is Kyle Tucker against the Brewers, 90% hit rate his last 10 games, 70% hit rate on the season, and 100% hit rate against this Brewers team. So he's gotten a hit against this Brewers team every single time he's gone up. So Kyle Tucker might be my number one, but I wanted to give you some hit rates there. So those are all hit rates. You can even break it down. You can go check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. You can sign up for $10 for a week. You can check out everything we have on the website and couple that with our sports bets and the hit rates we just gave you. So that's what I've got in this video. Good luck today, and as always, let's bring them some bacon. Peace!